Hello everybody and welcome to my first Pokemon Challenge video. In this video I'm going to find out if I can beat Pokemon Red with only a single Bulbasaur and its evolutionary line. What that confusing title means is that I'll be using a single Pokemon starting with a Bulbasaur, but that I can evolve it into an Ivysaur and Venusaur as in a normal playthrough. I know for these sorts of challenges people normally don't allow their Pokemon to evolve, which definitely makes it more difficult, but that wasn't really something that sounded fun for me to do, so I went with this instead. The Pokemon games are built around type matchups and having a balanced team, so there's still an element of challenge involved, and some Pokemon will be a lot harder to do this challenge with than others, but more on that later. Right then, on to the rules. 1. I can only use a single Pokemon in battle. In this challenge, that's Bulbasaur and its evolutionary line. I can catch other Pokemon to teach them HMs which are needed to progress, but I can't use any of these Pokemon in battles. 2. I can't use any items in battle. No potions, no status healing items, and no stat boosts like X attack. I can still use items freely outside of battle though, and I can use Pokeballs to catch HM Pokemon. 3. No glitches or exploits are allowed. That means no wrong warping, no missing no glitch, none of that. With that out of the way, let's take a look at the Pokemon that I'll be using in this challenge. Here are their stats. For anybody watching who isn't familiar with how Pokemon stats work, the simplest explanation is that bigger numbers equals better. On the whole, stats aren't too bad, but they're not great. Fairly low HP, attack and defense, but decent special. In Generation 1 there was no special attack and special defense, it was all dictated by one stat called special. The speed is pretty terrible though. The stats do improve as the Pokemon evolves, and Venusaur's stats are just slightly below the final forms of the other two starters. So they're nothing to write home about, but starter Pokemon tend to be fairly dependable, so we should be fine. In terms of the moves the Bulbasaur line can learn in Generation 1, there's not a great amount of choice. For those who aren't aware, Pokemon learn moves at later levels when they evolve, the trade-off for that being that they have better stats. Since I'll be evolving my Pokemon at the first chance for the increased stats, I've marked the levels he'll be able to learn each move at. Razor Leaf is a pretty solid move in my experience, at least it seemed like it when I was a kid. It only has 55 power, but it also has a high critical hit chance. Other than that, the only other move to get excited about is Sleep Powder. It can be very useful in difficult fights, since putting a Pokemon to sleep in Generation 1 is very disruptive. The rest of the moves aren't great. I'll definitely need a better normal type move than Tackle, but even with that, the type coverage here isn't that good. Lastly are the moves that can be taught by TM. There's some good choices in here. Toxic and Double Team are great choices if it looks like I might be in for some lengthy battles of attrition where I need to outlast my opponent. Mega Drain isn't extremely high damage, but it is a grass type move, so it should be able to provide some decent healing in battle if needed. There are a couple of solid normal type moves in there as well, which I will almost certainly need. Before I start the challenge, I want to quickly point out that unfortunately I am an idiot, and I didn't notice that the game was lacking any colours until I was quite far into the playthrough. I fixed it for future videos, again more on that later, but I'm afraid that the gameplay in this video will be limited to glorious monochrome. Alright then. With that out of the way, it's time to get started. I begin by selecting Bulbasaur as my starter Pokemon, obviously. I nickname him Lettuce, because I didn't think to prepare anything beforehand and I panicked. My hated rival, Ben, took a Charmander, after deliberately waiting for me to pick so he could choose the stronger one. I start to head out of the lab, but am challenged to my first rival battle. There's never a whole lot to this first battle, it's just a way for the game to let you get a feel for the basics of battles, with a couple of moves on each side. The fight is pretty straightforward, just keep hammering your attack move and you're pretty much guaranteed to win. Oh. Well, that doesn't bode well. No matter, there's no real punishment for losing this fight. You just miss out on a little XP and money. I don't lose anything, apart from my pride, so it's onward to my Pokemon adventure. I head up towards Viridian City, fighting some wild Pokemon along the way. The Pokemon in this route are extremely weak, and thankfully in this game Gust is a normal type move rather than flying. Presumably so the children who picked Bulbasaur wouldn't get absolutely destroyed by the first Pidgey they encountered. I fight wild Pokemon for a while to level up, learning Leech Seed along the way, before I head to the Pokemart for Professor Oak's parcel. Apparently they don't employ any actual delivery people, so it's up to me, a 10-year-old boy, to get Oak's parcel to him. Alrighty then. I safely deliver the parcel to Professor Oak, and he tips me with a Pokédex. I was hoping for some actual money, but whatever, it's fine. Ben leaves, saying that he'll borrow a town map from his sister, and that he'll tell her not to give me one. I immediately go and get one from her just to spite him. I don't even need it. I played these games so much as a kid that I have the Kanto region memorized. I head back up towards Viridian City and start training on wild Pokemon. After my embarrassing loss to Ben in my first battle, I'm determined not to lose again. I head to the area north of Viridian City to train on the slightly higher level Pokemon before facing Ben again for the second rival battle of the game. It also happens to be completely optional, but I'll be damned if I'm going to let my earlier defeat go unpunished. Lettuce reaches level 12 and I head back to the Pokemon Center before going west of town to give Ben a good thrashing. He starts by sending out a level 9 Pidgey. I hit it with a couple of tackles while it hits Lettuce with a couple of gusts. So far so good. Then it hits me with a sand attack, essentially lowering the accuracy of Lettuce's attacks by around 33%. It's quite a bit more complicated than that, but for simplicity's sake, we'll say around 33%. I hit another tackle and take it out. Next out is his level 8 Charmander. I try for a Leech Seed, but it misses, and he hits with a Scratch. I try again and succeed, so now I'll steal a little bit of health each turn from Charmander. He hits another Scratch and I go for Tackle. What follows here is one of the most bizarre situations I've ever encountered in a Pokemon game, and I'm rather glad it happened so early in my first video. I proceed to miss 8 attacks in a row after a single sand attack. The chances of this happening are insanely low. I even threw a Growl in there, a move that I literally never use just to make sure Tackle wasn't broken somehow, but the Growl missed too. Eventually I critical hit him with my 8th tackle. I'm really glad I used Leech Seed on him, otherwise this battle would have been lost and my embarrassment would have been even higher. I tackle him again and he hangs on with a sliver of health before being taken out by Leech Seed. That was a bizarre fight, but thanks to Leech Seed, Lettuce and I managed to pull through. I train a bit more in the grass north of town, learning Vine Whip at level 13. Looking back, I'm not sure why I spent more time training here. I think I wanted to avoid hanging around Viridian Forest, since Lettuce isn't very good against any of the Pokemon there. Lettuce reaches level 14, and we head into Viridian Forest itself. The trainers in here are no match for a Pokemon as nutritious as mine, and Lettuce makes quick work of them. I'm mostly going to skip over the normal trainer fights in the game unless something notable happens in them. Leaving Viridian Forest behind, I head towards Pewter City. Once I arrive, I visit the Pokemon Center to get Lettuce ready for the first gym. This nerd tries to pull a Han Solo on me and use a unit of distance to represent time as we begin our battle. Despite Brock's gym being focused on the rock type, this trainer didn't seem to get the memo and instead uses Diglett and Sandshrew, which are both ground type Pokemon. Since both ground and rock are weak to grass, it doesn't really matter, and Lettuce sweeps through them with Vine Whip. Oh, look at that. He does know what a Light Year is. Still wrong though. With victory in that battle, Lettuce reaches level 16 and evolves into Ivysaur. Time for the battle with Brock. He opens by sending out a level 12 Geodude. Lettuce one-shots it with Vine Whip. Next up he sends out his level 14 Onix, which also faints to a single Vine Whip. Yeah, I may have gone a bit overboard with my leveling so early. Still, Brock is both defeated and humiliated and hands over the Boulder Badge. He also gives me the TM for Bide, a move that is almost entirely useless. With the first gym down, we're heading onwards to Mount Moon and Cerulean City. On the way, I beat up some fellow children for their pocket money, including this weirdo, and arrive at Mount Moon. While there, I catch a Clefairy to teach Flash later, and Lettuce reaches level 22 and learns Poison Powder, which I immediately overwrite Growl with. Eventually, I make it to the other side, where I climb a ladder that somehow takes me outside, and I enter Cerulean City. I take a quick stop off at the Pokemon Center to heal up. I probably don't need to keep mentioning every time I do that. The reason there are 2 Pokeballs here, incidentally, is because I still have Clefairy with me. After a little while, I decided to just leave my HM Pokemon in the PC when I don't need them, rather than try and keep them fainted. I head to the Cerulean Gym to face Misty. Since it's a Water-type gym, her trainers stand no chance against Lettuce, so it's pretty much straight to the fight with Misty herself. I was so confident in my victory that I didn't even bother going back to the Pokemon Center to restore the power points of Vine Whip that I had used on the trainers. She starts by sending out her level 18 Staryu. Surprising nobody, I use Vine Whip. Surprising me, however, her Staryu survives with a tiny bit of health. Rather than fighting back, she uses an X-Defend on it to raise its defense. I'm pretty sure that using an item in battle is always supposed to go first in a turn, but hey, Generation 1 is weird. Ignoring her increased defense, I Vine Whip again and take out Staryu. Next up is her level 21 Starmie, which can be a problem for a lot of Pokemon because it's surprisingly tough. Despite being 5 levels lower than Lettuce, it managed to attack first with a tackle, but it does barely any damage. Lettuce uses Vine Whip and brings it down to half health. 2 more turns of this back and forth and Starmie is defeated. With that easy win, Misty hands over the Cascade Badge. It's time for another rival fight as I head north of the city. Ben starts by sending out his level 18 Pidgeotto. It's a bit of a rough starter for Lettuce, but the level difference should get us through. I open with a Tackle and Pidgeotto misses a Sand Attack. That was lucky. Doing rival fights with lowered accuracy is a pain. 3 more Tackles finish off Pidgeotto, while it hits me with a few Gusts and a Quick Attack. Next up is a level 15 Abra, who is basically free XP since it only knows Teleport, which does nothing in a trainer battle. A Vine Whip takes Abra to half health, and a Critical Tackle finishes it off. Next out is a level 15 Rattata. Nothing too scary, it hits a Quick Attack for a small amount of damage and Lettuce one-shots it with Vine Whip. Last out is Ben's level 17 Charmander. Remembering the last battle against this Charmander, I used Leech Seed to prepare for a long fight. He uses Leer, and I try a Poison Powder, which fails. He uses Leer again, which fails, and I try another Poison Powder, which also fails. Real exciting start to this fight. He uses Scratch for a tiny amount of damage instead of, I don't know, using a super effective fire move maybe? Odd choice. Speaking of odd choices, I use Poison Powder again, which finally works, meaning he's both poisoned and seeded, ensuring my victory in a long fight. He hits me with another Leer instead of anything useful, and I finally use Tackle, which takes away half of his health. He at last uses Ember, which only does 11 damage, and I tackle again for victory. This fight could have been over in 2 turns if I'd just tackled from the outset. I don't know why I didn't take into account my 10 level advantage over him. It's fine, I'm still learning. I've only been playing this game for 20 years. Oh. Well, moving on from that somewhat embarrassing victory, I head north along Nugget Bridge. The trainers there are no problem for Lettuce, including the shady character at the end, and I make quick work of them. I catch an Oddish in the grass to the west of the bridge to teach Cut, since I don't want to use up one of Lettuce's limited move slots on it. I fight my way through the trainers east of the bridge and level up Lettuce to level 30 when he learns Razor Leaf, a grass-type move that is much stronger than Vine Whip and has a lot more power points. I pop into the house on the Cape and meet a Pokemon called Bill. After I help him fulfill his wish of being a real boy, he rewards me with some tickets for a party on the cruise ship SS Anne, so it's time for me to head to the port city of Vermilion. On the way, I meet this shady character trespassing on somebody's property while I'm trespassing on somebody's property. I decide to show him the error of his ways to prove that I am the one true trespasser. He gives me the TM for Dig, which he stole from the nearby house. For some reason, you don't have the option to return it to the proper authorities, even though there's a policeman standing nearby. Oh well, finders keepers, I guess. I head via the underground passage to Vermilion City and fight all of the trainers along the way. Things actually get a little sticky after Lettuce gets paralysed and almost knocked out after being fully paralysed for a few turns in a row. It was a close call, but we'd make it through to reach the Pokemon Center in Vermilion. I head on down to the SS Anne, ready to party. Unfortunately, just like in real life, the party is over when I arrive. To punish them for not including me, I proceed to hunt down every single trainer on the ship. During the very first battle, Lettuce reaches level 32 and evolves into Venusaur, so that's nice. I don't need their stupid party anyway. Midway through my crusade to ruin the day of all the passengers on this ship, I pick up the TM for Body Slam. It's an 85 power, 100% accuracy normal type move, making it much better than Tackle. It does only have 15 power points though, so I'll have to bear that in mind. Still, it's a really useful move to replace the pretty awful Tackle, and I do so immediately. After I finish beating up all of the trainers on the ship, I decide to visit the captain to express my displeasure that the party was started without me. On the way to his cabin, who should I find but Ben, who has somehow weaseled his way onto the ship as well. It's time for another rival fight. He opens with his level 19 Pidgeotto. It attacks with Quick Attack, doing a measly 5 damage, and Lettuce one-shots it with Body Slam. I'm really glad I got that TM. Next out is his level 16 Raticate, who also hits a Quick Attack for 5 damage and also falls to a single Body Slam. Next is his level 18 Kadabra, who, you guessed it, drops to 1 Body Slam. Finally is his level 20 Charmeleon. Not messing around this time, I one-shot it with another Body Slam. That'll teach Ben the smug git. I head up to the captain's cabin where he is being violently ill due to seasickness. Perhaps a career change is in order. I use my magical healing hands to fix his illness and he rewards me with the HM for Cut. As I disembark from the ship, the SS Anne leaves, like all of my friends, and I head back to Vermilion City. I make a brief stop in the Pokemon fan club to get the bike voucher from this guy who really loves his Rapidash. I head east of town to catch enough Pokemon to get my Pokedex up to 10, which will allow me to get the Flash HM to navigate Rock Tunnel more easily later. Once that's done, I head to the Vermilion City gym. I get the random switches to unlock the way to the gym leader on my second try, so that's pretty nice. Time for the battle against Lieutenant Surge and his electric Pokemon. Unfortunately for Surge, Lettuce is now so powerful that I'm able to sweep through his entire team with Razor Leaf. I do miss the first attack against his Raichu, but he just uses Growl, so no harm done. This is the part of the challenge where things get quite easy for a while. It takes some time for other Pokemon to catch up to Lettuce's level, so Razor Leaf and Body Slam clear most obstacles. I head back to Cerulean City, pick myself up a shiny new bicycle, and head east towards Rock Tunnel. Not a lot happens while I'm travelling through the tunnel. My heart did stop for a moment when I missed a Razor Leaf and this Geodude used self-destruct, but it did surprisingly little damage, so my childish squeak of terror was unwarranted. As I was nearing the end of Rock Tunnel, I ran into a problem I didn't foresee. I had been a little too successful at defeating Pokemon, and ran out of power points for Razor Leaf mid-battle. With only one attack left for Body Slam, wanting to save that precious Body Slam for Grass-type Pokemon, I decided to defeat my opponent's two remaining Rattatas entirely with Leech Seed and Poison Powder. It was incredibly slow. I'm using enormously sped up footage here to give an idea of just how long it took to defeat these two Pokemon. It also meant that Lettuce actually took some damage over the battle. I had 113 health when the first Rattata came out, and I was down to just 19 when the second one was defeated. I then used my last Body Slam on the same train as Bellsprout. Once that ordeal was over, I used a couple of potions to heal and an ether to restore Lettuce's power points for Razor Leaf and press on towards the exit. I emerge from Rock Tunnel at last and enter Lavender Town. I head into the Pokemon Tower to battle Ben, who has once again got ahead of me. He opens with Pidgeotto, who falls to a critical Razor Leaf. I'm around 20 levels above his Pokemon now, so the fight is unsurprisingly one-sided. His Execute goes down to a Body Slam, Gyarados drops to a Razor Leaf, Kadabra to another Razor Leaf, and Charmeleon to a Body Slam. Ben is so humbled by his defeat that he can't even stand to look at me after the battle, just like people in real life. After putting the smackdown on Ben, I head to Celadon City and find this man and his Pokemon responsibly social distancing before I visit the Celadon gym. Since it's a Grass-type gym, I'm pretty much locked into using Body Slam for the whole thing, but the level difference means that isn't really a problem. I carve my way through the gym trainers like a shovel coated in weed killer and face the gym leader Erica. She opens with Victory Bell, who has possibly the most terrifying sprite in Generation 1. A Body Slam doesn't actually take it out and Erica heals it with a Super Potion. A second Body Slam finishes the job. Next out is Tangler, who goes down to a critical Body Slam, and last is Vileplume, who hangs on from another Body Slam and uses Poison Powder. For those who aren't aware, Poison-type Pokemon can't actually be poisoned. At all. Venusaur is Grass and Poison-type, so my assumption is that the Gen 1 AI reads Grass as Venusaur's type, and selects a super effective move against that type where possible, which in this case is a Poison-type move. I don't remember encountering this when playing through the game in my youth, but who knows. This isn't the only time in this playthrough there'll be some worthless poison attacks against Lettuce. After that embarrassment, I hit Vileplume with another Body Slam and finish it off. A clean sweep, and Erica hands over the Rainbow Badge. She also gives me the TM for Mega Drain. It's not a very strong Grass move, but it restores half of the damage that it deals to the user, so it's pretty good for a Grass-type Pokemon thanks to the same type attack bonus. I teach it to Lettuce, overwriting Leech Seed, so now we have some decent mid-battle healing if we need it. From this point, the run is basically on easy mode until the very end. The urge for some gambling overtakes me, and I head to the Celadon game corner. While there, I find this shady character guarding a poster very badly. I teach him some manners and enter the Team Rocket hideout. Obviously none of the Rocket goons in there pose a threat to me at this point. The only thing I have to contend with are these spinny arrows. I memorized the path through them about 20 years ago, but I forgot just how goddamn slow they are. Just look how long it takes for me to travel via them. What an impractical thing to have in your secret hideout. Anyway, I make my way through the hideout and face the Team Rocket boss, Giovanni. Unfortunately for him, two of his Pokemon here are weak to Grass, and Lettuce is so powerful that even his Kangaskhan is no match. We sweep through his entire team without any difficulty. Giovanni leaves and drops the Silph Scope, so it's back to Pokemon Tower in Lavender Town now that I can finally see ghosts. The story of these games are pretty weird now that I think about it. I make my way up through the tower to rescue Mr. Fuji, and come across something rather strange. Right before the staircase to the top floor, you're supposed to encounter the ghost of a Marowak, but I guess the tile is still able to have regular wild encounters, because when I stepped on it, I battled a Cubone instead. I've definitely never had that happen before. Very strange. I deal with the Cubone and then encounter the ghost Marowak, who I reunite with her son via Razor Leaf. I rescue Mr. Fuji and receive the Poké Flute from him, which will allow me to continue down to Fuchsia City. At least, that's what the game wants you to do. But instead, I head to Saffron City, which has been taken over by the dastardly Team Rocket. I sneak past this idiot who fell asleep on the job and enter Silph Co. I'll spare the details of my journey through Silph, but suffice it to say, I did not have the route memorized as well as the Rocket hideout. Lettuce did reach level 55 and learn Sleep Powder though. It took me a while, but after about half an hour, I found the correct way and reached another rival fight. This one is notoriously difficult due to the rival having really beefed up his Pokemon since the last. I'd like to point out that Ben, who is a stronger trainer than any of the Team Rocket goons I fought through to get here, was just waiting around for me instead of, actually helping. For shame, Ben. The battle opens with his Pidgeot, who tanks a Body Slam pretty well and uses Wing Attack. I had a moment of panic before I remembered that in Generation 1, Wing Attack only has 35 power, making it functionally identical to the move Peck. Because of this puny number, and a 20 level difference, Lettuce is largely unfazed and hits another Body Slam to knock out Pidgeot. Next, Ben sends out his Execute again, who survives a Body Slam and uses Reflect. Doesn't make much of a difference because he goes down to another Body Slam. Next out is Gyarados, who goes down to a critical Razor Leaf, and second to last is Alakazam, an absolutely terrifying Pokemon in Generation 1 due to its massive special stat and critical hit chance. I used Razor Leaf and thankfully managed to take it out in one hit. Last is Ben's Charizard, who is looking very strong indeed. I hit it with a Body Slam, which does just over half its health in damage. He uses Ember, which it turns out is the only fire move he has right now, I checked on the wiki, and does a little bit of damage. Lettuce finishes him off with another Body Slam. That went pretty well. I have a quick word with the Silph employee nearby who gives me a Lapras. I remembered here that Lapras can learn both the Surf and Strength HMs, so I'll be getting one of these on every single playthrough from now on. I head to the top of Silph Co and find Giovanni again. Strange. I swear I beat him like 5 minutes ago. He threatens me with a good time, and we have another battle. Giovanni's team here is actually weaker than the rival, so it's no problem to take him down. I even came into this fight damaged from fights before because I knew it would be a pushover. His Nidorino falls to one Body Slam, and his Kangaskhan is nearly felled by a Mega Drain, which heals Lettuce back to full health. Ah, normal type Pokemon. The punching bags of everyone. Another Mega Drain finishes it off. Next is his Rhyhorn, who of course goes down to a critical Razor Leaf. Last is Nidoqueen, who survives a Body Slam and uses Poison Sting. Remember when I said Erika's Vileplume wasn't the last time useless poison moves would be used in this playthrough? Another Body Slam finished off Giovanni, who must really be losing face from being beaten by a child repeatedly. I receive the Master Ball, which I will never use, from the Silph Co president as thanks for saving his company, and I head to the Saffron Gym and its leader Sabrina. Lettuce is weak to psychic attacks, so this battle actually has the potential to be a challenge. Kadabra is out first, and he faints to one Razor Leaf. Okay, maybe not much of a challenge. Mr. Mime also goes down to Razor Leaf, and Venomoth is taken out by Body Slam. Last out is Alakazam, who just manages to hold on from a critical Razor Leaf, but uses Reflect instead of something useful, so Lettuce is able to finish him off without taking any damage. Sabrina hands over the Marsh Badge. I head to Fuchsia City next, and visit the Safari Zone to get the Surf HM and the Warden's Gold Teeth for the Strength HM. Oh. I forgot the bag in Generation 1 can hold about 10 items. I throw out some rubbish and actually get the Surf HM. I then have to spend some very boring time on inventory management before I head to Fuchsia's Poison Gym. Incidentally, the invisible walls in this gym are a lot easier to see on a PC monitor than a tiny Game Boy Color screen. Time for the gym leader Koga. He opens with Coughing, who Lettuce takes out with a Body Slam. Second out is Muck, who survives Body Slam because it turns out Muck is an absolute tank. He does get paralysed though and uses Poison Gas, which has no effect on Lettuce due to the aforementioned poison type. This gym is going to be a piece of cake. I take him out with another Body Slam. Next out is another Coughing, who also goes down in 2 Body Slams, and last is Wheezing, who, like Muck, is a bit of a tank. He actually takes 3 Body Slams to go down, and even does some actual damage with Sludge. Nothing to worry about though, and with that, Koga is defeated and hands over the Soul Badge. With the end in sight, I head to Cinnabar Island for what has the potential to be the most difficult gym battle of them all, the Fire Gym. First though, I have to head into the Pokemon Mansion to recover the key to the gym. It turns out that you can actually clear the mansion without fighting a single trainer. Who knew? I head into the gym and I don't really want to waste time fighting all the trainers on the way to the gym leader. Fortunately, he's a bit of a pub quiz fan and allows you to skip them if you answer Pokemon trivia questions correctly. Luckily, I had no friends as a kid, so I get all of the answers right. Time for the battle with Gym Leader Blaine. First out is Growlithe. I try a Razor Leaf even though I know it's not going to be very effective. Fortunately, critical hits don't give a damn, and he still goes down in one hit. Next out is Ponyta, who goes down in one Body Slam. Then it's Rapidash, who is much stronger. In the interest of safety, I give Sleep Powder a try and succeed. 2 Body Slams finish off Rapidash. Finally is Blaine's Arcanine. Look at that handsome boy. For science, I decided not to put Arcanine to sleep and instead went straight for a Body Slam, doing about half his health in damage. He missed a Fire Blast, thus ruining my science, and I finished him with another Body Slam, defeating Blaine and earning myself the Volcano Badge. Time for the last gym. I return to Viridian City and make my way through to Giovanni. Oh yeah, Giovanni is the gym leader here. Spoilers, I guess, for a 20-year-old game and TV show. He opens with Rhyhorn, who of course is defeated by Razor Leaf, but not before he tries the one-hit move Horn Drill, the sneaky devil. Next out is Dugtrio, who also goes down to a Razor Leaf. Third is Nidoqueen, who takes a Body Slam and hits me with Poison Sting again. Didn't really work out for you last time, did it, Nidoqueen? Another Body Slam finishes her off. Next out is Nidoking, who tries the same tactic. A few Body Slams and Poison Stings later and the monarchy is finally deposed. Last is Rhydon, who looked so cute with his little stompy legs. Not cute enough to survive a Razor Leaf though. With that, Giovanni is defeated for the 3rd time and hands over the Earth Badge. After this battle, he finally does the honourable thing and disappears. I guess losing to a 10-year-old 3 times in a row was just too much for the boss of a crime syndicate. With all of the badges in my possession, it's time to head west of Viridian towards the Pokemon League. In a lovely mirror of the start of the game, Ben is waiting for me again, and it's time for another battle. He leads with his Pidgeot, now level 47. Lettuce uses Body Slam and takes a wing attack for minimal damage. A second Body Slam finishes Pidgeot off. Next out is Rhyhorn, who I accidentally Body Slam instead of using something good. He tries for a one-hit kill Horn Drill, but fails because all the one-hit moves in Generation 1 were based off the user's speed, and therefore almost never worked. A Razor Leaf takes care of Rhyhorn. Execute is next, and he survives a Body Slam but gets paralysed. He tries Poison Powder, which of course fails, and goes down to another Body Slam. Next out is Gyarados. I hit a Mega Drain for some health back, but it doesn't do that much damage. Gyarados is actually water and flying, so grass moves aren't really that good against it. Razor Leaf of course does the job with a critical hit though, and Gyarados is down. Next is Alakazam. I go for Razor Leaf, but don't manage to bring it down, and it hits a critical Psychic, doing 179 damage to Lettuce. There it is. I was worrying there wouldn't be any more risks in this playthrough. I hit Alakazam with a critical Mega Drain to take it down and restore a little health. Finally is Ben's Charizard. After that Psychic I'm taking no chances, and I put it to sleep with Sleep Powder so that I can take it out with a few Body Slams. I will not lose another battle with Ben. After I defeat him, he actually has the balls to say that I need more practice. What a sore loser. I make my way through Victory Road without issue and reach Indigo Plateau and the Pokemon League. First up is Lorelei, the Ice Trainer. Lettuce is vulnerable to ice, but a few of her Pokemon are also water type, so it shouldn't be too bad. First is her Dugong, who goes down in one hit thanks to a critical Razor Leaf. Second out is Cloyster, who also goes down to a critical Razor Leaf. Next is Slowbro, who, you guessed it, goes down to a critical Razor Leaf. Next is Jinx, who actually doesn't go down to a critical Razor Leaf and gets healed by a Super Potion. I hit a second Razor Leaf though and she's gone. Last is Lapras, who of course goes down to a critical Razor Leaf. Man, I remembered correctly, Razor Leaf is great. The second member of the Elite Four is Bruno, the Fighting Trainer. I know he's got a couple of Onyxes in his party, so this should be a piece of cake. He opens with one of those Onyxes, who is immediately taken down by Razor Leaf. Next is Hitmonchan. I miss my Razor Leaf and he hits me with a Thunder Punch, which does almost nothing. His Hitmonchan does know Ice Punch, I checked. He could have done some actual damage there. I go for Razor Leaf again and of course knock him out with a critical. Next is Hitmonlee, who also goes down to a critical Razor Leaf. I'm starting to see a pattern here. Next is Bruno's second Onyx. We miss each other, and then he faints to yet another Razor Leaf. Last is his Machamp, who manages to hold on from Razor Leaf but uses Focus Energy, a move that's actually worse than useless in Generation 1 because it's bugged. Instead of raising his critical hit chance, it lowers it instead. I hit him with a final Razor Leaf and win the battle. The third member of the Elite Four is Agatha, the Ghost Trainer. This one could be tricky. I can't use Body Slam against her ghosts, and they're each part poison, so my grass moves aren't very effective. First out is Gengar. After some deliberation, I go for Razor Leaf to see how it fares. Even with a critical hit, it barely does a third of his health. He misses a hypnosis, and I decide to steal his idea and use Sleep Powder. He immediately wakes up, but Generation 1 being what it is, I'm able to put him right back to sleep. If the AI could get away with this nonsense, nobody would ever play these games. I hit him with a Mega Drain to test its damage, and it doesn't do much. She withdraws Gengar and sends out Golbat. I use Body Slam and paralyze it, so she switches out for Gengar again. Agatha's AI is especially weird in this game. 2 more Razor Leafs take Gengar down, but I'm beginning to run low on power points for it. She sends out Golbat again, and I finish it off with another Body Slam. Next is Haunter, who takes just under half damage from Razor Leaf. She switches again and sends out Arbok. I go for a Body Slam and paralyze it. I swear, every time something has survived a Body Slam in this run, it's been paralyzed. Body Slam only has a 30% chance to paralyze the target, so I don't know what's going on, but I'm not going to complain. I Body Slam Arbok again to take it out. Haunter comes back out and I Razor Leaf again, but it hangs on and hits me with Confuse Ray. I try to finish it off, but Lettuce hurts itself in its confusion and Agatha heals Haunter with a Super Potion. Lettuce hits itself again and Haunter for some reason tries Confuse Ray again. I manage to hit a Mega Drain on the next turn to restore a little health, but then things go very badly when Haunter lands a Hypnosis. While Lettuce is napping, Haunter uses Confuse Ray again. I have no idea why. Next turn she switches out for Gengar, who uses Dream Eater, taking Lettuce down to half health. Then he uses Confuse Ray again for some reason. You can't confuse a Pokemon that's asleep, Agatha. You're in the Elite Four, you should know this. Gengar follows up with a Nightshade the next turn to bring Lettuce down to 52. Lettuce finally wakes up next turn and Gengar is swapped out for Haunter. I go for Razor Leaf to finish Haunter and thankfully Lettuce is no longer confused, so we take it out. The level 60 Gengar comes out again and I manage to land a Sleep Powder. I follow up with some Razor Leafs to try and brute force the Gengar down, which eventually succeeds, winning me the fight with 1 use of Razor Leaf remaining. That was a close one. I heal up Lettuce outside of battle and restore the power points of Razor Leaf. I also use a rare candy that I found on the floor. Time for the last member of the Elite Four, Lance, the Dragon Trainer. The opponent's levels are now getting close to Lettuce, meaning these fights are going to be a lot more dangerous. First out is Gyarados. I hit him with Razor Leaf and he wastes a turn using Leer. A second Razor Leaf finishes him off. Next out is Dragonair, who I put to sleep and hit with Body Slam. A second Body Slam finishes him off, and out comes a second Dragonair. A critical Body Slam finishes him in 1 hit. So far so good. Next is Aerodactyl, who I put to sleep because it's part flying, and I don't want to deal with any of that nonsense. It immediately wakes up and I try for a second Sleep Powder, but it fails. Aerodactyl hits a Hyper Beam, dealing just under 100 damage to Lettuce. I go for another Sleep Powder, which was silly because Aerodactyl needed to recharge that turn, so I had a free attack. Next turn I use Mega Drain to restore some health. It does decent damage, and I hit another 2 to restore Lettuce to almost full health and take Aerodactyl down. Next out is Lance's Dragonite. I immediately put it to sleep because it's big and scary. I hit a critical Razor Leaf and do so little damage that I may as well have just called him mean names for all it accomplished. I try Body Slam instead and do much better. A second Body Slam brings him to low health, but Lance heals with a Hyper Potion. Fortunately, Dragonite doesn't wake up, so I'm able to hit another 3 Body Slams in a row and take him down. With Lance defeated, I take my place as the new Pokemon League champion. Or I would, but Ben of course got there first. I heal up Lettuce and restore his power points with some elixirs, ready for the final battle. Here we go. The climactic battle against my rival, Ben. Sorry about the battle animations being on, by the way. The game turns them on automatically for this fight. Mild flashing light warning ahead. First out is of course Ben's Pidgeot, now level 61, a mere 6 levels below Lettuce. I play it safe and use Sleep Powder, followed by a series of Body Slams. Pidgeot wakes up on the last turn, but still goes down to my 3rd Body Slam. Next out is Ben's level 59 Alakazam. Not wanting to get one-shot by Psychic and have to face the entire Elite Four again, I put him to sleep too and hit him with Razor Leaf. A critical hit doesn't take him down, but a second Razor Leaf finishes the job. Next is level 61 Rhydon, who goes down easily to a single critical Razor Leaf. Fourth is level 61 Executor, who I also put to sleep. I start hitting him with Body Slams and manage to take him out with 3. Next is level 63 Gyarados, who I hit with Razor Leaf. He uses Leer, uselessly, and goes down to another Razor Leaf. What is it with these high-level Gyaradoses and just using Leer? The last Pokemon is Ben's level 65 Charizard. I put him to sleep and he immediately wakes up, so I do insist that he goes to bed and I use Sleep Powder again. He doesn't take though and he wakes up again, so I try for the third time. This time he respects his bedtime and I hit him with 2 body slams to finish him off, winning the battle and beating the game. So there we have it. This challenge was about as easy as these challenges can be. A 3 evolution starter Pokemon with great moves like Razor Leaf and Sleep Powder meant this was mostly a breeze once I hit the mid-game. I plan to create a video like this for every evolutionary line in Generation 1. As I said, I think this was about as easy as they'll get, so it was a nice one to start with. Naturally, some of the challenges will be more difficult than others, especially the Pokemon who just don't evolve and those with poor type coverage. The limited movesets in Generation 1 should make for some interesting challenges as well, even on some of the stronger Pokemon I'll be using. I won't say too much more now because this script is already at 7,300 words. Next video will be Squirtle, Wartortle, and Blastoise. That's about it for this video. I do hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, maybe consider liking the video. It's very important, apparently. Please do let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you have any criticism or suggestions, I'd love to hear them. This is my first of these challenge videos, so any feedback you have is appreciated. Also, suggestions for Generation 1 Pokemon nicknames. I am dreadful at coming up with names. That's all from me today, so thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video.